Now time for the press review. Deepti Laurent is with me on the set now to take a look at what's been making headlines around the world. Hi, Deepti.
Hi, Jeannie.
Let's start with the Paradise Papers. This a new trove of documents exposing the ways that the rich and famous have been perhaps evading their taxes.
That's right. Over 13 million documents that are coming from this latest leak, Paradise Papers, 18 months after the Panama Papers. Now, the latest revelations that have been published by an international consortium of investigative journalists in conjunction with 96 press outlets are reporting on all the people and organizations involved. One of those media outlets is the French paper Le Monde. Another paper that's also been involved in revealing these leaks is the British daily The Guardian, which explains that no one's been spared from this latest leak, including the Queen of England herself. The Paradise Papers leaks reveal that millions of royal pounds have been stashed away in a Cayman Islands fund, allegedly without being disclosed. Furthermore, it appears that the Queen's money has been invested in some shady business dealings, including a retailer called Bright House, believed to exploit disabled people. So definitely not a good look for the royal family. The Guardian actually explains that this trove of information is so important because most of us don't really understand the complexities of offshore taxes, and that's why rich people have been able to get away with it for so long in all legality. Well, the paper says now we're finally shedding light on the secretive and legal ways that the rich stay rich.
Now, this has also reached out to the U.S. President Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross. He's also been implicated.
Well, we're looking at the German paper Süddeutsche Zeitung, which has been one of the papers at the forefront of revealing these leaks. They call Wilbur Ross the minister of his own business dealings because he's reportedly failed to disclose to Congress that he retained an interest in a shipping firm that has ties to allies of the Russian President Vladimir Putin. So basically, he's been getting rich off these Russia-linked business dealings as he was serving under Donald Trump in the White House. So it's definitely a serious conflict of interest. Now, Le Soir, which is the Belgian paper, has written a pretty interesting editorial saying, to the 1%, we, the dwarves, quote unquote, salute you, because the paper explains that it's kind of like a David and Goliath battle, and now the Davids are fighting back against Goliath by publishing these revelations. Le Soir accuses political leaders of waxing lyrical about fighting fiscal fraud and not really doing enough to actually end it.
Deepti, let's move on now to the Arab papers, which are extensively reporting the arrest of several Saudi princes in an apparent power grab by the crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman.
They seemed untouchable. That's what the Washington Post says in this article. And in one breathtaking stroke, the men were detained in a purge that swept up some of the most powerful and recognizable names in the country, including princes, as you mentioned, Jeannie. Now, from the Saudi press, they really give us the impression that they think it's a really good thing, because if you look at Al Bilad, which is a Saudi paper, they say that this historical step will bring the country into a new era of, quote, transparency, clarity and accountability. And in the paper Al Watan, another Saudi paper, we see a cartoon here that really reflects that approval, because here you have the flag of corruption that's been chopped down. So the paper really approves of what they see is an attempt to root out corruption in the country.
Now, staying in the Arab world, the resignation of the Lebanese Prime Minister Saad Hariri, who announced it from Saudi Arabia, has thrown Lebanon into political crisis.
And really much of the Arab world into a total spin, really, because what happens now, that's what L'Orient Le Jour, the French language Lebanese paper, is asking on its front page, calling Saad Hariri's resignation a house of cards-like scenario. Will it throw Lebanon into the midst of a new war, perhaps a new proxy war between Saudi and Iran? Well, that's a question many people want to know. Now, the English paper, the Daily Star in Lebanon, says uncertainty has taken hold. And at the Star, the paper's editors are calling for calm reflection. The bombshell, I quote, has reshuffled the cards on the Lebanese political scene, but it's important to avoid demagoguery and address the resignation with, quote, sober heads and restraint. So they're really calling for calm now.
Deepti, just to wrap up now, more than 50,000 people yesterday took part in the New York Marathon, but you have found an article arguing that the health hazards of running a marathon might be worse than actually running the marathon itself.
That's right. If anyone hates running in general, this might come as good news. This article from Quartz, the website, explains that running a marathon, 42 kilometers, is actually really bad for your health. It dates back to Greek mythology when allegedly the first endurance runner dropped dead at the end of his race. Quartz explains that including all the joints and ligament damage that can occur when you run 42 kilometers, overstressing your muscles can cause your urine to discolor, your nipples to bleed, and your toenails to fall off due to the friction caused by running with shoes on. So if ever there's a reason not to run, I think those are pretty good reasons.
It's good enough for me. Thank you so much for that, Deepti Laurent. Hats off to Shalane Flanagan, the first American woman to have won the women's marathon since 1977. That's Deepti Laurent with the press review. You can get a closer look, of course, at that press review on our website. The address is france24.com.